So much for listening to this episode of Earrings Off. We want to invite you to subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. You can find us on Facebook at Earrings Off Podcast and on Instagram at The Earrings Off Podcast.
Welcome to Earrings Off. I'm Lou.
And I'm Teresa. Let's get started.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, my sister?
Well, I'm doing great. This is the last day for us of this journey we've been on with the fast. So I'm feeling great.
Yeah. So I how are you feeling?
I'm actually feeling really good. I'm just so elated that this is the last day for folks. Teresa and I, along with our spouses, have been doing a 20-day raw fast, and you'll hear more about that, but I'm ecstatic because it's the last day. So how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I feel good.
You're done. Yours was yesterday. You started early.
Yeah. I started a day early, but I'm good. I can't wait. I mean, I'm going to do it again. I'm looking forward to it. I hope July we'll do it again. So I think it's a perfect kind of fast for the summertime. It's so easy to get local fruits and vegetables. Yeah. I don't think I would ever try this in the winter months.
Yeah. Remember, we did it last year in the winter. It was hard, and we just did 10 days, but it was hard. So yeah,
I wouldn't try this one in the winter months.
Yeah. But thanks, everyone, for joining us here at Earrings Off. As always, we're delighted you decided to spend 30 minutes with us on a Saturday morning. Today, we're going to talk about what's happening in Florida with the education, and how could we not? That's been all over the news. It's just been a lot, a heavy topic. Just one that's been shocking the way that it's been handled. So it's just a lot going on in Florida. So I wonder how the people that live there are feeling about this, because I told you I have a brother that lives in Florida, he and his family, and I think as residents, they're just sort of embarrassed and concerned about the direction of the state under the Governor Ron DeSantis, and of course, DeSantis is a Florida native, actually, and he's been quite busy. He's Republican, and of course, he's running for president. Many people say that's what this is all about, to curry favor and to get votes. So,
yeah, I think of course, the former president, Trump, is the front runner for the Republicans right now. And I think DeSantis is trying to go after his base of supporters.
Yeah.
I really don't know if it's just that, Lou, or if it is who he truly is. Either way, the things and the decisions and the way he's running Florida is very dangerous, in my opinion. Okay, so let's first say, to the Floridians, these are our opinions. What we're on the outside looking in for sure, but this is what we see in the news and what we're reading. And in my opinion, Ron DeSantis he's really kind of short of a dictator. When you think about it, he's single-handedly, based on what I'm hearing in the news, making decisions and putting people in place, positions that were otherwise voted in, he's appointing, even not allowing the people to make the decisions about who they want to represent them. And I'm thinking in particular about the Department of Education and school boards, things of that nature. He's actually putting people in place who were going to be his mouthpiece and making some really bad decisions that are very, very dangerous.
And of course, what we're talking about are the new standards for how African American history will be taught in schools in Florida. And the new standards contain some very controversial language. about how slaves developed skills which could be applied for their personal benefit, that slaves benefited from, from slavery.
You
And
know,
just to hear that is so offensive to my spirit, you know?
it's really it really is a gut punch. You're absolutely right. I remember I sent you an article that I couldn't even get past the I couldn't even
Yeah.
get past the title. I didn't even go back to read the article because
Yeah.
um it was just so offensive. And the thing about it is that you know, they people, you know, we were brought to this country from Africa not on our free will. They stole us from our country, and they brought us to this country. And then to hear someone try to minimize it or make it seem like it wasn't so bad, like revision history, like this is revisionist history, is quite an insult. But the biggest insult with that statement is that you're assuming, or it assumes that people, slaves, enslaved people, had no skills to begin with. They were living and doing just fine on their own. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
making it.
Yeah.
So to say that they came without skills and that they benefited. I mean, I feel like, what year is this anyway that we're having this conversation? Are we in the 60s? Well, what year is this, right? The fact
Yeah.
that we even have to have this conversation is so asinine. It just blows my mind. And this man, it wants
Mhm.
to be president of
Yeah.
the United States, that we're included in, black people are included in, and he's already been exclusive. It's
And
like,
so
no,
divisive. Yeah. Yeah.
divisive.
Yeah.
It's like,
And what
don't go ahead.
yeah, and what they're saying, some faculty, as a result of this change, they are leaving their positions. I know I saw at least one or two universities where now they're understaffed. And in college, you have to have specific subjects to get a specific degree. And so they run the risk of not having educators in those areas to teach the classes. And so now students may be in danger of, how you get to your third or fourth year, sophomore, freshman, senior, and you may not be able to finish out and finish your degree, not through any fault of your own, but because the educators are just not there. And some of them are just taking a stand and saying, it's not, they feel awful for their students, but it's not just that they are taking a stand, it's that they cannot accept what they now want them to teach because it's inaccurate. And it's like you're setting up Florida students for a failure on a larger scale when they, apply for maybe advanced degrees or go into other areas, because that teaching that they're now doing is flawed, and you are teaching this. So, yeah.
So Lou, you bring up an excellent point that I didn't even think about at the collegiate level, right? I was just thinking about the
Yeah.
earlier years of education, but that's quite that you're quite right in that, and that's something that I didn't even
The
think about.
standards.
But bigger, well, not even bigger, but adding to that, Lou, what have we heard for years? If you don't know your history, if you don't know where you came from, you're bound to repeat it. And so
Right.
I think it's a bigger picture here, especially
Right.
now in light of what you just brought up, because in
Right.
the whole state of Florida, African American studies is at risk. There's
Right.
nobody and who's the teachers who learn that and are now spreading that throughout the country. that might have come out of Florida, that's one state, and you know how things catch on, right? So
Mm.
this is just the beginning if we allow it to happen, right?
Right.
So the thing that we've got to do, and what Floridians need to do, and when it comes to other states, and people, don't get it twisted. This could be
Yeah.
you. This could be
Yeah.
happening to you. You could be next. Your
Yeah.
history could be getting revisioned. So
Right.
don't sit
Well,
back and let this happen. You have got to vote in these local elections. They matter. These state
absolutely.
elections, I know we spend so much time talking about national
Yeah.
elections, but those local elections, your governors, your mayors, your
Oh, yeah. Council
what are they?
members, board of
Thank you. Yes.
supervisors,
Yes.
all of them. They're
They
very
matter.
important.
You
Yeah.
gotta
Yeah.
get registered to vote, and and we cannot let DeSantis be president of the United States. We have to vote. We gotta vote, because
Yeah.
he is not for everyone.
Well,
You
and
know.
I tell you, I mean, what the media can spin anything any way they want to, and the NAACP issued a travel ban for Florida as a result of this, and some other groups have joined have also issued bans, not only in support, but they know that they will be impacted, could potentially be impacted, because like you say, you come for me now, then what's next? You
Right.
have the Hispanic community, LGBTQ community, all of them, who are issuing bans. And the what I saw when I looked at that with regard to the what's happening as a result of the ban, what's being put out there is like, oh, tourism is still up, but I have seen reports that Florida, their tourism industry has been impacted. And I can just tell you from a personal stance, we do a family reunion
That's
every two
right.
years. So my niece and I, we head up the planning committee, and we are always scouting out locations all over the U.S. to see where we can go. And Florida has always been one we looked at. As a matter of fact, 2 years ago, a year ago, it was in Florida. And but now, just Teresa, just looking at the rates that I see for the properties that we would need in comparison to years ago, no, they're being impacted because those rates, nothing's gone down. Gas is up, housing, food, and we know that, right? But when
Yeah.
I look at those properties, they are significantly less than what I
Yeah.
have seen in years past. And
Right.
and I'm hearing from people. If you go on sites and you look at Airbnb and the vacation rentals, people are not going to Florida, and those businesses are being impacted. And I feel awful for the owners of those properties
I do too.
because this is their livelihood. They have not done anything wrong, but now as a result of DeSantis' actions, they're caught up in this. People who not only own homes but own businesses and restaurants. Restaurant owners are reporting that this time of the year their restaurants are typically at 80 or 90% capacity in the evenings, and they're not having that. And they're asking, how are we going to survive this? And we already
Right.
know that that's a tough industry. So, yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That it is already a tough industry, but you're right.
It's
I mean, there
crazy,
are
but
impacts, but they won't admit it. But I want to go ahead. Go ahead.
I think why this is so offensive to me, Teresa, is when you say, well, yeah, they were slaves, but they benefited from it. And not to be graphic, but the only thing I kept thinking about is, okay, so you kidnap and rape a woman and you take her out into a field, and somehow, as a result of her kidnapping and being entrapped, she learns how to get free and survive. So that makes it okay. You created the conditions for her to be in this. You dehumanized her by your actions. You traumatized her. But as a result of all that torture and pain, she escaped and she learned how to survive. So that's a benefit.
And Lou, I mean, you weren't graphic because it was far worse than that, if you can imagine, because some women were breeders. They were
Oh
forced
yeah,
into
yeah. But
breeding.
but I'm
And can you
saying that
imagine
to
that?
me,
But no, Lou, it's not a benefit. But that's what they want us to believe. That's what they want to that's what they want to teach the children. That's what they want. That's what they want to teach, right?
yeah,
Right.
I
And
know.
then this guy, Manny Diaz, is the commissioner of the Board of Education, again appointed by DeSantis.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw a statement that he made was that the statement he made was, if they taught the full story, they came to this conclusion because, and I'm paraphrasing, I didn't write it down or make notes
Mm-hmm.
about it, but what he said, basically what he was stating was that if they taught all of slavery, they would have to talk about brutal um, uh, acts that slaves committed. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they were enslaved. So yeah, they're gonna fight back. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
So
Well,
yeah, so
yeah,
it's part of it. Yes. So let's talk about that too. We don't care. You know, that you have to, it's the story, it's the history. So yes, let's talk about it. Let's not rewrite it. You're trying to say what he said was clear evidence of how they're trying to make it pretty for
yeah.
someone. But it's
Well,
not a
well,
pretty story. It's not pretty,
well,
right?
well.
So go ahead.
No, go on.
Okay, so what I was gonna, I don't want to change the subject just yet. I was gonna change the subject. Go ahead.
Well, and what I saw though was that the whole impetus behind this was that you don't want certain people to feel bad about themselves, to
Yeah.
feel that they are bad people for their ancestors committing these acts. But for years, the whole curriculum in this country and actions and laws have been purposely made and followed to make us feel bad and less
Yeah.
than.
That's
I mean,
okay.
that was the whole goal, was to
And to
make
them,
us feel less than, to even though chains were removed, to still be in bondage. So that was the whole goal. But now you don't want to tell the true story because you don't want people to know about your brutal history. Yeah.
it's either that or I don't like to sound like a conspiracy theorist, or they want us to forget so that it can happen again. Right? We don't need to forget. And that's what I wanted to say. That's what I was going to punt to, because we got to get to our next
Yeah,
segment.
yeah,
But
yeah.
what can we do? We alluded to it earlier. We need to get registered. We need to vote. And we don't need to
Well,
wait. Go ahead.
well, I'm gonna tell you, we need to not only register, vote. You're absolutely right. Not only think about at the national level, at the local level, but what we also need to do is what I can't remember his name, the young man that was part of the Central Park Five that's now running for local office in New York. We need to be in those positions. We need to run. Don't worry about, if you do your best to win, but run. You can't win if you don't run.
Don't. Yeah.
Get on the ballot. And that's where it starts, because if we can get in some of these seats, that's going to make all the difference,
All the
because
difference.
then you have a seat at the table and you have a voice. So
Yeah.
it's all of that.
The
Yeah.
the other
So
the other the other point I wanted to make is don't wait. Don't wait for a teacher to teach your child about history.
absolutely
Right?
not. Right.
So you got to get your own books, go to the Smithsonian Institute. Don't wait. Do it
Right.
yourself and read to them,
Right.
talk about it. When we were kids, it wasn't taught in the schools, and we talked about it. My mom got us books. it was
Right.
talked about in our church. We just got to get back to those basics and keep
We
our
absolutely,
history and learn our
yeah,
history.
we have to do
Okay, and
that.
now I'm going to get off my soapbox, Lou.
Okay. All right.
Because
Health,
I think
ma'am.
y'all want to know. All right, so we're going to transition a bit to a health focus. Lou, this I found another book
Okay.
some months ago, and it's called it's called Vegetation over Medication.
Medication. Ooh, I gotta
It's
write that
it,
down.
it's written by a black surgeon. Ex No, he's not a surgeon. He's a doctor. I can't remember what his specialty is, but it's not
Mhm.
nutrition. So there was something that I read in the at the very beginning of the book that I want to share today. Um, and by no means am I, this is just a way, right? This is
Mhm.
not it's just a way. Okay. But this is about the human body. This is a really short paragraph about it's titled The Amazing Human Body. This vehicle, the human body, is by far the most complicated piece of machinery in existence on Earth. Here are a few amazing facts about the magnificent machinery you possess. The stomach's digestive acids are strong enough to not only digest zinc, but the tissues around it. However, the cells lining the stomach regenerate at a rapid rate, and it makes it to dissolve them impossible to dissolve them. The brain produces the electrical equivalent to a 20-watt light bulb, which would explain the comparison of a lit light
Mhm.
bulb over our heads when we have a great epiphany. You would need 82 processors for a supercomputer to simulate just 1 second of 1% of our brain's capacity. Ounce for ounce, human bone is stronger than granite or steel, yet it weighs 3 times less. A man's testicles can
Mm.
manufacture up to 10 million sperms daily, which makes a man capable of repopulating the entire planet in 6 months. The
Wow.
human body, don't get no ideas, anybody out there. The human body is made of 7 octillion atoms. As a comparison, our entire galaxy is made up of only 3 billion stars. 90% of our cells aren't even human in origin. Most are fungi and bacteria. The skin is replaced every 2 weeks. Every 120 days, our entire blood supply is replaced. Every 300 days, through the brilliance of our divine engineering, we have a new liver. Every
Mm.
10 years, we get an entirely new skeletal system. So, Lou, how many of those things were you aware of? Like how many?
No, that is
Yeah,
not.
so many of them I had never even thought about, right?
I had heard,
So
but not all of them.
yeah, so what do you think about that, right? So when you hear that, it's like, why are we sick? Why do we have uh, fatty liver disease? Why do we have,
Right.
all of these ailments, right? According to this guy, the next chapter is the key. Of course, this book is about plant-based, being on a plant-based diet, but
Right.
he talks about the importance of having a plant-based diet and how that helps to regenerate. Basically, you are what you eat. So what we are doing to our bodies, because you have heard, I'm sure many have heard, that our body is designed to heal itself.
Oh,
I mean, you get a
absolutely.
cut, what happens? It heals
Yeah.
itself, right? Our bodies, but when we put the environmental effects, the
Toxins.
which we oftentimes have no control over, but what we eat, we do have a little bit more control over. But that's how we're tearing our bodies down. And we need to think about the magnificent of our bodies and give it a chance
Wow.
to survive and to thrive. This same doctor, Lou, keep me up on the time because I
Mhm.
want to say this thing, but watch the time for me. This same doctor had the opportunity after graduating medical school to go to Japan, Okinawa, to to study the centenarians. He did the same thing in California. The Adventists that are there's a community of Seventh-day Adventists there that have a similar group of people who live well over 100 years. And the thing that he studied, what he found out about them, what we all hear is community. The types of food that you're eating, the
Yeah.
exercise, and all of those things matter. So we really have to be mindful about
Yeah.
about the food that we eat. That's basically what
Yeah.
this is talking about, but also other things like exercise and environment and all those things. They're all
Okay.
important.
Okay. All
Mm.
right, that is such good stuff. We are, as always, are going to finish up our show today with a mantra. Of course, a mantra is something that we say to ourselves. It's so important that we speak kindly to ourselves, that we inspire ourselves and empower ourselves. Today is a good day.
I will make it so.
My reality is formed by what my mind tells it.
Today I am healthy and well.
I am at peace.
I extend kindness to myself and others.
In my actions and interactions today,
I lead with my commitment to do better.
and be better.
I commit to being part of the solution.
To positively impact the environment.
And the world.
My choices.
Become my reality. Join us for our next regular show here on Fireside on Tuesday, August 8th at 8 p.m. Can you believe it, Lou?
I cannot. I can't
The
believe that we're almost in August, first of all.
summer is almost over. That's what I was about to say. Yeah.
I
So
cannot believe.
follow us on YouTube at the Earrings Off Podcast. Check out our latest episodes wherever you listen to podcasts. We're on all the major platforms. Don't sleep on our blogs, y'all, which you can find on our website at www.earringsoff.com.
So that's it for us here at Earrings Off today.
Thank you so much for joining us. Take good care.
Have a wonderful day, folks.